Welcome back, guys. And yesterday, if you missed it, there was the New York live stream recap video that detailed all of the important stuff during the live stream. But as the video was titled, this is about everything we know about the Black Friday campaign and units coming the 28th of November. There was more details released after the live stream with more in-depth information what the units are going to be able to do, as well as what the details of the different bundles in this new resummon type 10+1 summon is going to feature. So let's get into it. First of all, let's talk about the resummon type 10+1 summon. We now know the price of it and all this other stuff. So it kind of blew me away. I expected this to be incredibly, ridiculously expensive, like over $100 expensive. It is now, as you can see here, going to be $45.99 is what it's going to be here. $45.99 for the Black Friday summon resummon 10+1 long worded bundle here. So how this is going to work real quick is there's going to be 3 different bundles, 3 different banners that you can go ahead and purchase when you decide to go ahead and roll here. And they're going to be featured on different times. Okay, so the first one is going to be the support bundle, support banner, I should say. It's not really a bundle. This is going to be available the 28th right away for the support type resummon banner. Then December 1st is going to be the physical attack type banner. And then December 4th is going to be the magical attack type banner. So you're going to have to spend $45.99 if you want to pull on these. And the way that they're going to work is you'll go in there, you'll pull on the banner. It'll give you your 10+1 pull. The +1 is going to be a guaranteed 7-star unit. And you're going to get a 100% super tier Moogle. But this is where I need to make this distinction, because I've heard a lot of people talking about how it's just really good because of just that super tier Moogle. It's not an all super tier Moogle. It is a super tier Moogle for that guaranteed 7-star unit, right? So if you get, Olive, it's going to be 100% super tier Moogle for Olive or whoever it is that you get. And then if you do not like that, you can resummon. You don't have to pay another $45.99 thing crazy like that. I heard that out there as well. No, you get the resummon if you don't like that and go for another summon. You can do this up to 10 times. And it says you can resummon units up to 9 times here, excuse me. So I don't know if it means there's 10 summons total, the first one, and then 9 resummons, or if it's 9 summons. So we'll have to see. That's going to be something that we'll have to check out when this does launch. But the other question here is that the banners for the new Black Friday units, the first one, because there's going to be 2 different weeks of the Black Friday units, also launches November 28th. So we'll have to see if those are going to be in there for you guys as well. I know it's going to be a long shot because they're not going to have a rate up or anything, but they will be in there. They should be using the new reduced pool as well, because the big pool with all of the old units, right, they did do that summon pool change. All of those should be only a part of the EX summon pool in the normal rare summon banner, the one with Noctis and Lightning on it that no one ever pulls on, that you can use like tickets and stuff on, that no one literally ever pulls on because there's no rate up for anything in there. So this should have the smaller pool of units, as well as being able to be focused on physical attacker, magical attacker, and support type units. The things we don't know are if it's 9 resummons or 10 summons total or 9 summons total. The other thing we don't know is if those new Black Friday units, which we're about to go over, will be in this pool as well. That's going to have to be something that we'll sit tight to see in the future. If those units are in there, that'll be really awesome, although you're really only going to be able to possibly get the first week of those Black Friday units if they are included, because remember, that stuff does come out on the 28th, and I do believe the first 2 units are going to be Zyrus and Aden, so you might be able to get, Aden in the support type and Zyrus in the magical attack type. I think Olive and Xon are the second week, and well, obviously it would both be in the physical attack type banner, so that's probably why they have them in the second week. Hopefully that means that the Black Friday units will be here as well for you guys who are going to pull for this. I'm going to have like a should you or what should you try to reroll for on the resummon type banner video as well once we have all that concrete information. The other thing we're going to touch on real quick is they are going to have these other 2 things for us to talk about here. These 2 things are going to be the Black Friday bundles. So we kind of know the bundles that are coming out ahead of time. So there's going to be a cheap bundle for 99 cents. It's going to have 500 Lapis in it, and it's going to have some King Metal Minotaurs and some energy and some gil. So, I mean, for 99 cents, 500 Lapis, that seems fine. If you want to throw $1 at the game, kind of whatever. Then $47.99 is going to give you 12,000 Lapis, a ULC ticket, and a 10% all Trust Moogle times 10. So 100% worth of Trust Moogles in there for $47.99. That's pretty decent, I think, off the top of my head. 12,000 Lapis. Usually it's $100 for 18,000. So you cut that price in half and you lose 6,000 lapis, but then you get the ULC ticket as well, which you can turn in right now for another 2,000 lapis if you decide to go ahead and do that, or you can keep the ULC ticket. So that's actually really good in comparison to the price of normal lapis. And there's the Black Friday special number 3, which is $99.99 for 25,000 lapis, a 10+1 premium summon ticket, the ULC as well there. So 25,000 lapis, like we just said, normally $100 gets you 18,000 lapis, and that's it. So this gets you an extra 7,000 lapis. You get the 10+1 summon ticket, which I don't really value that highly. I know it's a premium summon ticket. They're all guaranteed 4-star, but the only actual rate up is the first crystal there. The normal one that would be actually gold most of the time, that has a 7% rainbow rate. The rest of them have 5% like usual. It's not all 7% rainbow rate or anything like that. And then you get the ULC ticket. So those of you who do look into getting good deals and you do enjoy putting money into the game, this is going to be right up your alley. For those of you who don't, none of the bundles will ever be up your alley, so that's also fine. So for other people out there, there is going to be a special fountain of special items. This is probably the thing I like the least amount. And this is going to be the Black Friday fountain, basically. It's going to be $24.99. It's going to give you 5,600 lapis, a 5-star guaranteed EX ticket, 4-star guaranteed rare summon ticket, 5 rare summon tickets, 10% trust smuggles, and then 2 4-star guaranteed EX tickets. Now remember, this is going to be a fountain, so this is going to be spread out over the course of, you know, what, 25, 30 days, something like that. This is giving all that away at the same time. It'd be kind of cool. I can see why it's a fountain. There's a lot of trust muggles in there. This is probably orientated towards someone who wants a bunch of trust muggles, maybe someone who is just starting out. That'll be fine for you there. For a veteran or whatever, I see plenty of people passing on this, and you know, just because of the waiting time thing, sort of thing there. The 5-star EX ticket and all the EX tickets basically in here don't really tickle my fancy. Anyways, the only thing that I really care about as a veteran player, only thing you probably care about as a veteran player in this fountain, is the 5,600 lapis. And, well, that's pretty much right around where the normal fountain of lapis gets us, if I'm not totally misremembering, and that's usually like $7. So, you know, all this extra stuff I can do without. I'd rather have the normal fountain here, but that is just me. This could be the Black Friday special thing. That's what they're running there. Now, enough of the bundles. Let's talk about the units here. So we're not going to go over all the details on all of the units that we talked about in the previous video. We'll touch on them. We're not going to go over the Magnus abilities, how I feel about them, or anything of that nature. We're going to go over the information that wasn't in the previous video, and that has to detail with a lot of what these certain characters are going to have for skills here. We're going to touch on the Black Sparky's customized model real quick that you can read right here as part of her Super TMR. That is going to give you boosted attack percent and limit burst damage percent. So that her Super TMR is actually really insane for a lot of true double hand gun users out there. If this has even higher attack than CG Jake's gun, that's going to be fantastic for the limit burst damage alone, not to mention the attack percent when trying to cap your attack percent and get that limit burst damage and have higher attack. And if I could just randomly get one of these things for my boy CG Noctis in the future, you better believe if I try to true double hand him, we're going to be going with the Black Sparky. Now let's move into her other skills. And the first one here is going to be Cannon Fire Obliteration. Now this is going to be a 3-turn cooldown skill, and it's going to do multiple things. First of all, it's going to do AoE physical damage, and it's going to be bolting strike frames. So this being bolting strike frames, probably some of our other skills will also be bolting strike frames as well. Olive traditionally was a chain finisher, but also looks like she's getting in on some of the chaining action. Now this skill is not only going to be doing AoE bolting strike damage, it's going to unlock triple cast for her, as well as do an AoE defense break, and then 3 turns after you cast it, she's going to have an auto cast skill that goes off that does AoE damage as well, that is called the Big Bang. So this skill is going to be doing a lot of stuff for her. It's going to be unlocking triple cast for her, be doing the chaining stuff for her. It's going to be really good, and it's going to be a skill that you might even have, you know, if she comes in with unlock triple cast on turn 1, maybe you use this skill, chain up, and then use her Magnus skill, blackout, do a bunch of big damage. Who knows what's going on there with the Cannon Fire Obliteration, but she seems like she's going to be a pretty fun unit to use. But that's not the only skill she's got. She's got another one that they leaked out for us here, which is going to be the Bio Weapon. It's going to be a 5-turn cooldown. It's going to give an AoE attack buff to your party, AoE limit burst crystal fill, self-attack buff, and then increase modifiers for certain skills, and they're going to tack on a nice little AoE status ailments as well. I'd like to see that the little AoE status ailments was kind of thrown on there, because AoE status ailments doesn't really do that much in a lot of the higher end fights. Pretty much any fight that's not like a trash monster in the story mode, basically nowadays. So that is a lot of stuff. 5-turn cooldown. They said the attack buff was 4 turns as well. So I would imagine that a lot of those buffs, including like the damage modifiers for certain skills, will also be 4 turns. The last one is going to be Cannon Fire Scattering Shots, and this one's kind of interesting. We'll have to see exactly how this works once we get the data mine in a couple weeks, but it does partial and mitigated damage, and it also increases damage with consecutive uses. So partial and mitigated damage, that's the long worded version. If you've seen any of the banner reviews or looked at any of your characters where it's a skill that's like ignores 50% defense. That's what partial and mitigated damage means. And the reason that's kind of cool is if you know anything about damage modifiers in the game, if that has a damage modifier increase on something that is partially unmitigated within the actual formula for itself, like a 1.0 modifier increase that has 50% damage mitigation ignore, is actually a 2.0 modifier increase. So she's got that skill itself might amp up its damage more than usual. Not saying that it will. Usually those are separate. But that also is pretty cool because usually skills that have a partial and mitigated damage part and a part that also stacks up, they're going to be broken down to 2 different things, kind of like how CG Hyo and a lot of other characters do, where it's like a 0.5 modifier, ignore 50% damage for like the first 8 hits or whatever, and then the last hit is going to be, you know, a 5.0 multiplier that stacks up over time or whatever. But remember, she also has Cannon Fire Obliteration, which also gives her damage modifier increases. Oh, not Cannon Fire Obliteration. Bioweapon also is giving her increased modifiers for certain skills as well. So that's going to be pretty powerful. And I can't wait to see what the data mine for Agent Olive. She sounds like she could be extremely strong. I mean, her Magnus ability is already 150 times multiplier. So we'll have to see what the rest of her stuff does there. Now, enough of Agent Olive. Let's move into Mastermind Xon. Now, Mastermind Xon didn't have as many details on the skills as far as what he does, but he sounds like he's going to be a pretty fun unit to use. So the first skill that they talked about, you know, some status ailments with instant death. That's not really going to be a useful skill. I mean, instant death on bosses, that's never going to work. But he does have multiple chaining frame families, they said, which is going to be part of the popular chaining frame family. So that's going to help as well. His limit burst is also going to be chaining with King Reigns, which, as you know, I think also chains with Elena, and since Hyo also chains with King Reigns, it'll chain with Hyo as well. Those all 3 will chain together, so he should be a good chaining partner for them as well. And then the other thing that makes him the most unique, they kept talking about how he's able to mirror buffs from an ally to himself or from himself to an ally. So he might be able to pass buffs around to different characters depending on what the buffs are. Maybe you have a really strong single target buff. Maybe someone has an imbue that you need to throw around to someone else. So it sounds like you'll be able to do a lot of really cool things. Maybe if there's a character out there who has like really strong damage mitigation, you could like steal that from them and then throw it on someone else. Sounds like this is going to be a really creative character, right? We have really weird characters like Christine, remember. There's going to be a lot of weird applications where Christine has that one skill that would inflict stop on an ally or herself or something, right? But it would give them an 80% damage mitigation for 1 turn. If you can take that from her with Xon and throw it on your whole party, that's going to be absolutely nuts, right? Think about that for a second. Maybe if depending on how his skills work out, because that skill's like 80% damage mitigation for 1 turn. If Xon can steal that, put it on your whole party, make it like a 3-turn, then that's going to be crazy to do, because you're going to be looking at a character that's a damage deal that has 80% damage mitigation with a Christine in your party, and Christine can go in there and ice imbue, and then Xon can pass all the ice imbues around to your party too. He could be pretty cool. He could be pretty powerful and pretty potent, and a lot of you Xon fans out there are pretty happy to hear he might be pretty good. He might be pretty good. So we'll have to see exactly what Xon does. Mastermind's in his name, I think, for a very good reason. You might have to be a mastermind to use Xon when he comes out. Now, we also have Doctor Aiden here. And Dr. Aiden, they talked about him. He's pretty interesting. They didn't have as many things to give out for a Dr. Aiden as they did for the previous 2 units because they were kind of hurrying themselves along. But he does have triple cast white magic as a passive, apparently. He also is a true dual hand healer. I don't know what true dual hand is. So it's going to be either true dual wield or true double hand, one of the 2 things. So he's going to have either one of those 2 buffs, which is going to help him hit really high spirit, though, whether it's true double hand or whether it's true dual wield. He's going to hit high spirit either way, higher than normal anyway, because he's going to get all that extra spirit from his gear. Even if it's only like 50 or 100%, it's going to be some extra spirit right then and there. His sedative on his super TMR is just LB gauge fill rate. I know in the previous video I didn't really know what that was. That's what it is now. So it's just LB gauge fill rate per turn if you have his STMR equipped to that character. But he also has high evasion. He can possibly spam barriers, and even said he might be able to tank, which would be really interesting. So Chow, look out, man. Dr. Aiden's here. You might have to put the puppers down, dude. Tanking white mage instead of a tank that can do a little white magic. Triple cast white magic, high evasion, barrier spamming white mage tank. Is that going to be a possibility? I'm not sure, but that sounds pretty powerful. The way they were presenting these characters, they seemed pretty pushed. And the last character not to be put down, not to be disregarded, is going to be none other than 4-star boy with the hat, Operative Zyrus here. So Operative Zyrus seems like the most straightforward out of all of the characters. He's going to come in, but he's going to be pretty prevalent because he's going to have a lot of good chaining frame family. So he's going to have 3 different elements that he can do damage with. They didn't specify which ones, but if I had to hazard a guess, I'd say what was his original, like dark, fire, and water or something like that. I can't remember. Someone's gonna have to go and look it up. I'm pretty sure he did dark damage, fire damage, and then maybe he didn't have a 3rd element. Maybe it was the lightning or something. So it might be the same one Zyrus used to do. It might be 3 different new ones. Who knows? But he's going to have Bolting Strike, Absolute Zero, and Chaos Wave Awakened chaining frame skills. Not Chaos Wave that we're used to, the new ones that CG Terra and Kefka have. So you're going to be able to chain up with Kefka and Terra as long as their elements match on their skills, because they're going to have Chaos Wave Awakened. I know a lot of you guys out there were like, Chaos Wave Awakened, it's not really... There's not a lot of chaining frame families. Operative Zyrus is going to be a new character with chaining frame families. They also said he's going to be true dual hand as well. I don't know what that means. True double hand, true dual wield. Who knows for Magic? Usually these characters nowadays have both. If they're a physical unit, they'll be one or the other. But mages usually have a little bit of both. True dual wield, true double hand Magic. And then they said he's going to be able to keep quadcast nearly or almost always, or possibly just always, permanently. I would imagine that he's going to have permanent quad casts. Probably have 2 or 3 skills that you need to juggle, maybe use his limit burst or something to keep those quad casts up. A lot of the quad casters in the game do that. Like, they have permanent triple casts for mages nowadays anyway. They have permanent triple casts. They have they start with quad casts on turn 1. They have a cooldown skill that you could use to unlock quad cast for a couple more turns. Then they'll have like a second cooldown skill to give quad cast, or limit burst gives quad cast. So I would imagine he's going to have permanent quad cast. And then his limit burst, they said upgrades with certain conditions being met. I don't know if this is going to be Final Fantasy 6 style where he's got to have low HP. I think the original Zyrus did have a low HP mechanic, or like he used a skill that self-damaged himself. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've used a 4-star Zyrus. I remember using him back in the day though. He was pretty strong. So I like how these units are back in the day units that people used way back before the 7-star era was even around. And it gives me a little bit of nostalgia, which is weird. It's hard to imagine this game being 3 years old, and I've played it almost the entire time. And then his Super Team R, as you can see, has Draco Slayer and Mecha Slayer on it, which are mage killers for dragons and machine monsters. But he's also going to have, they said, high dragon and machine killers in his kit, guys. So these units are looking pretty spicy. They're looking pretty amazing. Operative Zyrus, Doctor Aiden, Mastermind Xon seems pretty cool, and Agent Olive. Out of the 4, if I had to pick one that I'd want the most, probably be Agent Olive, probably tied with Mastermind Xon. I already have a healer that I like, and I'm not the biggest fan of mages. I don't know. I've always shied away from them, but if I had to pick one, Operative Zyrus, I mean, who do you think you can just talk to me or whatever? I think 4-star Zyrus says is looking pretty powerful there. We'll get more information about the stuff going forward. If you want to see more stuff like this, guys, you know where the content is dropping nearly every day, 6 days a week. FFBE, whether it's future content, trial guides, banner information, anything you guys need, the details for this game, as well as other fun stuff, Final Fantasy related. This is going to be the channel for you. So go ahead, hit that subscription button, turn the notification bell on, follow me on twitch.tv as well. And until then, guys, stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.